What's happening, everybody? Welcome into the Wilbur and Gold Show on a Friday. It is the Friday before Super Bowl Sunday. Hope you're doing well. My name is Will Dalton, a.k.a. Wilbur and Gold, and I'm trying to get myself caffeinated, injuvenated. I'm feeling a little dead inside this morning. Not in a bad way, just in a, I was watching some Game of Thrones last night, and I was specifically watching that episode Beyond the Wall where they go and they got to get the White to take down the King's Landing for the season 7 finale. And I literally feel like one of the Whites just. So that's what we're working with this morning. But hopefully, I'm hoping this double shot of espresso with hot chocolate mixed in there, strong hot chocolate, I might add. Very sweet and rich. Got it for Christmas. Having some. That should do the trick here shortly. But yeah, man, Super Bowl Sunday coming up here in a couple of days. Bengals-Rams, or the Pringles, as I like to call them. The Pringles and the Hams. I got to wake up. Anywho, yeah, Bengals, Rams, Joe Burrow, Matt Stafford, Aaron Donald, Jamar Chase, all the guys. Oh me, I need to wake the fuck up. I'm just saying shit at this point, but no, I'm excited about Super Bowl. I mean, it's really snuck up on us. I was telling my buddy the other day, yesterday. I kind of forgotten the Super Bowl because, Super Bowl Sunday for us, I don't know how you celebrate it, but I mean, it's damn near a holiday for me and my buddy, or, used to be me and used to be me and my two friends that I grew up with. One of them lives in Charleston now. Shout out Sebastian. And, his work schedule is such that, he's usually not been off on Super Bowl Sunday, at least not, and if he has, it's been only part of the day, and then he has to go to work or whatever. So, but no, me and my other buddy that still lives around where I do, it's always damn near a holiday for us every year. I mean, the food and mainly just the food, and we usually make chili and buffalo dip, and it's a whole damn thing. So. Boba Fett season finale the other day. Some people were disappointed with it. Others weren't. I lean more towards weren't. I know you're shocked to hear that because usually I'm not as disappointed. So usually when there's a disappointing piece of Star Wars content, whether it's a show or a movie like The Last Jedi, just usually I'm not as disappointed in it as the masses who are disappointed and complaining about it. Doesn't mean it doesn't necessarily mean I was crazy about it or I was satisfied with it, because I wasn't, at least with The Last Jedi anyway. But I also didn't completely not like it either. So I usually don't go that far with it. But yeah. What else? Trying to see here what I want to get into. So I'll go ahead and start with the Super Bowl since we already kind of started there anyway. So, and I was talking about this with some people yesterday. I'm of the mindset that it's going to be a pretty close game. Obviously, the Rams, super good team from top to bottom, both sides of the ball, defensively and offensively. That was my I think that the Rams were my prediction for the Super Bowl NFC side. And honestly, I felt that way before they got Von Miller and OBJ. I just felt like with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey and on the offensive side of the ball, obviously Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, I always felt like they had some real juice on both sides of the ball. And then when they got Von Miller, well, that just completely added another threat to the defensive side. And then, of course, OBJ adds another option offensively. You try to double Cooper Kupp, well, you got OBJ, or you try to double OBJ, well, there's Cooper Kupp. As we saw, Cooper Kupp won Offensive Player of the Year last night. So, yeah, I always felt like the Rams, both sides of the ball, were one of the more complete teams out there. I did not necessarily see the Bengals coming, at least not until the playoffs. And then once they kind of got on this run in the playoffs, I had a weird, funny feeling that they might go down to Arrowhead and take care of the Chiefs, and that's exactly what the hell happened. So I tend to believe that this is going to be a much closer game than what most people maybe believe. I mean, I think a majority, and maybe I'm wrong about this, I don't completely have the temperature in the room. I know a lot of people feel that the Rams are going to win, and some people even feel the Rams are going to blow them out. And listen, if the Chiefs didn't blow them out, and I get it that the Rams – so to me, where the Rams and Chiefs are different is on the defensive side of the ball. The Rams are way better on the defensive side of the ball with Von Miller, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. And so the Bengals do not have a good offensive line. I mean, there was one game, I think it was the game against the Titans, that Joe Burrow got sacked like 9 times. But, those of us that have been watching, Joe Burrow is just – he's that type of dude where you could hit him 10 times and he's just going to pop right back up and keep going. Now, obviously, that's not sustainable, as we well know, for a full career. But when you're early and very early like this, you can kind of get away with it. And, I mean, this is only his second year in the league, first full year starting because he got hurt, bad knee injury last year. I don't remember what point of the year it was, but yeah, so the only issue, in fact, I will go, I think I'm pulling for the Bengals to win just because they're the underdog and because I love Joe Burrow and I love to watch him play. I love his swagger. So had the Bengals not got in, I would absolutely be pulling for the Rams because I wanted to see Matt Stafford. And I guess it's a win-win. I don't really care who wins. But I'm leaning towards Bengals. I'd love to see the Rams and Matt Stafford and OBJ finally get a ring, but I would love to see Joe Burrow and the Bengals. It's the Bengals. They've been a joke for years, for decades. Like, it's the Bengals. But, Joe Burrow, second year in the league, obviously won the Heisman and had a dominant LSU team, the likes of which college football has really never seen before. I always call them the Golden State Warriors of college football because that's exactly how they played, just an avalanche of offense. I don't even remember how they were on the defensive side of the ball. It's just their offense was ridiculous. I think they set a record that draft for like the most players taken in the first round or something like that. And so I'd like to see the Bengals do it and Joe Burrow get a ring in his second year in the league, first full year starting. I think that'd be pretty quick. Now, my main prediction for this is what I'm leaning towards based on what I've seen so far. So I tend to feel that the X factor could be, and I guess this is more, so my prediction, I don't necessarily have like a stake in the ground prediction on like who I think is going to win because I honestly am not sure. But my prediction for if the Rams were to win this game, I think the X factor is ultimately because we know Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are going to do their things for the Bengals. And we know Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp or Matt Stafford and OBJ are going to do their thing for the Rams. So there's going to be, I think it's going to be a shootout, maybe. Unless this particular X factor is just really an X factor. But I still think it's going to be a shootout. I think the X factor, if the Rams win it, it's going to be Von Miller and Aaron Donald. Because the Bengals do not have a good offensive line. I don't know what it's ranked, but they don't have a good offensive line. And Aaron Donald is one of the best defensive players we've ever seen. Like, people probably put him in the top 5 all time already of defensive players in NFL history. And then obviously we know what Von Miller is. I mean, I know better than anybody because I'm a Panther fan. I'm a Cam Newton fan. And Von Miller terrorized this. Von Miller is the reason that we don't have a Super Bowl ring right now. I mean, he terrorized Cam Newton, which obviously, and there again, and I'm not getting into it today because I've gotten into it plenty during the seasons past, and I'm sure I'll get into it plenty over the offseason. I'm not wasting my time talking about the Panthers' offensive line today, the day before the weekend of the Super Bowl. But coming into that 2015 season where the Panthers had their best season in franchise history, Cam Newton won the MVP, they went to the Super Bowl, lost to the Broncos and Peyton Manning. They had I don't know what it became during the season, but coming into that season, they had the worst offensive line in the league, 32 out of 32. That's how long. And we saw, again, they had one of the worst offensive lines again this year, last year, the year before that. It hasn't changed. And so, like I said, I'm not getting into it today. But I have seen what Von Miller can do with one of the worst offensive lines in the league. And this is why I tend to go this way on what I think the X factor could be, especially if the Rams end up winning this, is that with the Bengals' poor offensive line. Now, I don't know if it's as bad as the Panthers' offensive line was that year in 2015, but I've seen what one of these two guys could do with a bad offensive line. You know, obviously that one was Von Miller. Now you got Von Miller and Aaron Donald on the other side. So I worry that they're going to terrorize the shit out of Joe Burrow. That's tended to not stop him before, but we have not seen him go up against Aaron Donald and Von Miller yet. So I got all the faith in the world and all the confidence in the world in Joe Burrow. I think he's that dude. I think if anybody could pull it off, he's the guy. And even if he does get smacked around some, I feel very good in saying he's going to bounce right back up and do Joe Burrow things. But that's my one prediction that I feel right now, that if the Rams do win it, that will be the X factor. The Bengals, very poor offensive line, going up against two of the best rushers there are and have ever been, Aaron Donald and Von Miller. So that's my little stake to put in the ground here weekend, the day before the weekend. I guess today's the start of the weekend, I guess. Here's a question of the day. Do you consider Friday part of the weekend? Or is it not? Or do you just consider when you get off work? I mean, I guess technically once you get off work on Friday, that's the start of the weekend. I don't know. Weird question. I don't know. Looks like we got some comments here. Spartan Barton, you finally caught me live. What's happening, man? Let's see here. So, context here. So, Dylan Barton, a.k.a. Spartan Barton. So, I used to do a show like a year ago for this guy named Chris Landry Football on Twitch. And it was an ACC sports show. And Spartan Barton, Dylan Barton here was one of my regular guys that would come in and watch and comment. I mean, he was the best by far, just regular comments. And see, that's part of why I love the live format, is that, you know, I can interact with you guys live on air. Now, we're still early and kind of young in the process of building up this channel, so we don't have a lot of that. So it's always nice, like a couple times that we've had somebody get in here, it's been a lot of fun to interact, you know, whether it's about Star Wars or whether it's about sports or just whether it's about something else completely random. But because I love bringing you guys live on here, because I know that brings you guys value and it's fun for you guys to kind of interact with me as well on air. So, Spartan Barton, big shout out. I have not, he asks if I've watched the Vikings series. I've seen clips of it on YouTube. I assume you're asking me that because of the Game of Thrones banners up there. Massive Game of Thrones fan. Or either that or you heard me talking about how I felt like a white because of how tired I was at the start of the show. But no, I have not watched Vikings. I'm sure I would like it, though. being a Game of Thrones guy. So, and he also says Burrow is about to get a Super Bowl ring. I mean, so I just laid out my X factor that if the Rams win it, I think Aaron Donald and Von Miller going up against that bad Bengals offensive line will be the reason. At the same time, if the Bengals win it, Joe Burrow and probably Jamar Chase will be the reason. And it's very difficult because, like, I'm to the point now where, like, I don't bet against Joe Burrow. Like, he's just that dude. He was that dude at LSU. Probably was that dude before then, but he didn't get into the spotlight until LSU. Obviously drafted 1 overall to the Bengals 2 years ago. But a lot of people did not expect him to carry over what he did for LSU. Now, don't get me wrong. LSU was – and that was a lot of people's argument for why Joe Burrow might not translate as well to the NFL game as he did in college, is because how loaded that LSU team was. But they weren't necessarily saying he wouldn't be good in the NFL. They just didn't know if he was going to be this superstar that he was at LSU because LSU was so loaded. Now, obviously, he's brought some of that talent with him to the Bengals. Jamar Chase. He's brought T. Higgins, one of the guys he played against in the national championship for Clemson, with him. So obviously, he's brought some of that talent with him. But man, Joe Burrow has proven to be like that guy, like more than anybody probably thought. So yeah, I have a very difficult time betting against Joe Burrow. I love his personality. I love his swag. Here's one for you. Here's a take for you. I feel like Joe Burrow is what Baker Mayfield tried to be. And I still wonder, because obviously he had surgery or some type of shoulder or ligament or labrum surgery, I think, literally right after the season ended, Baker Mayfield did. But I guess with that swagger or kind of cockiness that Baker Mayfield has, it hasn't always been translated to the playing field. Now, he's also had some good moments. I mean, he's not a bad quarterback by any means, but I feel like Joe Burrow is kind of what a lot of people thought Baker Mayfield was going to be. He's got that. Only difference is I think Joe Burrow is just more confident than he is cocky, and I think Baker Mayfield leaned more towards cocky. Only difference is Joe Burrow brings that play to the field. And it's ironic because he's on the other side of Ohio, or I don't know if it's on the other side, but he's on the other Ohio team, Cincinnati. And obviously Baker over in Cleveland. We'll see what happens with him over there because I believe his contract is they're going to have to decide if they're going to extend him or something. I don't know if he has one more year or what his contract's looking like, but he's getting close to like, all right, they're going to pay him or are they going to get – I don't know. So, but I just thought that was interesting. But and then, yeah, McPherson, the kicker for the Bengals for another game winner. I mean, that could be how they do it. I don't know. Like, it's going to be a very, very good game. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to eat. I'm excited to drink. And I'm just excited. It's my first Super Bowl in my apartment, not living in my parents' house. So it's going to be fun to kind of christen that deal with my buddy when he comes over. And I think his girlfriend will probably come over too. So have a couple people over here. So, but yeah, man, Spartan Barton, glad you're in here with us today. Thank you, as always, for the great comments. I'm sure we'll get some more in here. Where else did I want to go today? Outside of straight to this cup of coffee. All right, here we can go. We can do this one. The Boba Fett season finale. So I liked it. It wasn't my favorite episode. I think episode 6 was my favorite episode, the one where we got Luke and Ahsoka and all those massive cameos. You know, I heard some people kind of complaining about the finale. Different things about it. Like, they felt like there was a little too much blaster fire in that shootout on Mos Espa, which maybe, I don't know. Like, sometimes I swear to God, the things that people criticize, like, it's like, how deep are you looking to try and find something? Like, it is, I don't know. Sometimes I just don't understand, like, why certain things are criticized. Like, certain things deserve to be criticized, and other things, like, why are you even looking that far into it? It's like, I mean, Star Wars is known for bad shooting. Stormtroopers couldn't hit a boat, couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. We know this. You know, and a lot of people don't like the bikers or the modders or whatever you call them that joined up with Boba Fett. Like, I didn't have a problem with them. Like, they were just, like I said, I don't understand some of the criticism that comes through. There was some criticism about the mid-credit scene where we do find out that the Marshal, Cobb Vanth, does survive. He's in back the tank. And then the modder is getting ready to, you know, fix him up or something. Basically, we find that Cobb Vanth survived his little shootout with Cad Bane in the previous episode, which I thought was cool to see he survived, because I did not think he did, obviously, because when the villagers or when the people from Freetown showed up, they were like, yeah, shot him down in cold blood. So I thought, well, he's dead. So that was kind of a nice surprise to see him. But even that, I saw some people like complaining about that post-credit or mid-credit scene or whatever it was, like saying like, why did we need to see that? Like, that's what we waited for. That was the like. I mean, I thought it was a cool way to find out that Cobb Vanth survived. And that was that. Like, I didn't understand the criticism it got. You know, certain Star Wars creators had issues with that. I didn't. I just thought it was a cool way to find out that Cobb Vanth survived. I do question whether or not Cad Bane is dead. Obviously, Boba Fett went ape shit on him. Well, not ape shit. Well, so one of the issues, and I actually discussed this or commented on or interacted with one of my TikTok viewers yesterday on this, because I did what did I do it on? I feel like, I don't even remember what the TikTok was, but, so I made this TikTok where obviously Jango Fett from Attack of the Clones and that era is, you know, obviously Boba Fett's father, played by the same actor though, Tamara Morrison. And so what I made a TikTok, actually I made a TikTok like a year ago, but I re-aired it on the other day because it was, you know, after the finale and Boba Fett's hot right now. So I wanted to kind of, and I thought it'd be kind of cool because a lot of people that didn't see it the first time would get to see it this time. And so what it was kind of like a side-by-side comparison of like certain actions that Jango did in Attack of the Clones compared to certain actions that Boba Fett did and when he showed up in The Mandalorian, just like little similarities and movements that they had. It was just a cool little side-by-side comparison video. And so I did that, and one of the guys commented and said that he liked Boba Fett better in The Mandalorian. And I commented back and interacted with him, because that's what I do. So I had heard a lot of people liked Boba Fett better in either the original trilogy or when he was in Mandalorian season 2 than they did in the Book of Boba Fett. A lot of people maybe didn't care for Boba Fett or how they made his character in this show for different reasons. I mean, a lot of people were disappointed that he wasn't as much of, you know, as Cad Bane calls him, the cold-blooded killer he was in the originals. And, you know, like, and I think he did he did portray more of that in the Mandalorian appearance. You know, he was also more quiet and mysterious in the Mandalorian. He didn't speak, I guess, a ton. He spoke some, but like that was one of the things about Boba Fett in the originals was he was a quiet assassin essentially. He didn't have many lines, didn't say much. He's very mysterious. We didn't know a lot about him. And you kind of saw some of that in The Mandalorian, I thought. Now, in the Book of Boba Fett, he's obviously got more lines. He's got more significance. I mean, it's his show. But he's also taking over, you know, the kind of Jabba's house or crime scene or whatever. I don't think it's a crime scene anymore, but he's taking it over and he wants to be more honorable, essentially. He kind of wants to, you know, he describes it in the show as like, I'm tired of doing these jobs where like people that don't know what they're doing are leading me into very dangerous situations. I'm tired of that life. And he wants to go away from that life of the cold-blooded killer, I guess. And he wants to kind of look out for others that are in that profession and kind of give them a better way than people did for him, which I thought was cool. And I had surprise. I really didn't have an issue with that. You know, I mean, I just, you know, he's trying to change his character a little bit. Like he doesn't want to be as, I guess, cold-blooded killer. He wants to be a little more honorable now, in which I had no problem with that. But I will say, though, in that showdown with Cad Bane in the finale, that cold-blooded killer came back out of him. Obviously, you know, he was not looking in good shape, and then he tackled Cad Bane, pinned him down, and then obviously stabbed him in the heart with the gaffy stick that he got from the Sand People. Which obviously was a great, and there again, like a lot of people thought that little scuffle between Cad Bane and Boba Fett was a little anticlimactic. I mean, I didn't see it that way. I mean, it was a quick fight, yes, but I was entertained. So there again, like anyway. So yeah. Now, I didn't hear it initially, but then when I went back and watched people reacting to the episode and then watched it again for myself, you heard like a beeping as it kind of panned in on Cad Bane's supposed dead body. Like you heard like a beeping noise. So I'm wondering, and a lot of others suspect, he ain't dead just yet. Something is keeping him alive. Like he's got like almost like a life support system. So that could be interesting either in the future season of Mandalorian or hopefully I hope we get another season of Boba Fett because I think there's more to be told there. So interesting stuff for sure. And then obviously Grogu decides he's going to stick around with Mando instead of Luke. Obviously at the end of episode 6, Luke gave him a choice to take the Beskar armor that the Mandalorian gave him or take Yoda's old lightsaber, which was stunning to find out that still was around. So I'm curious to see what happens with that, like, because obviously with Mandalorian now, so he will obviously be a staple with him in season 3 coming up. The Obi-Wan Kenobi show coming out in May. We finally got a poster for that, and we got a release date for that. Cannot wait to see that. I mean, oh boy, don't even get me started. I might do some watch parties and some reactions for that. It's something. So obviously I'm very young and new with the YouTube thing. I don't have a really much of a following yet. So I haven't really messed with it yet. When Kenobi comes out, I very well may start doing some like watch videos of like just watching the episode and reaction because it's something I wanted to get into. And I think that might be the perfect time to start. So stay tuned for that. Let's see here. So let's see. Dylan says, I'm loving the new Star Wars series. People hating on them aren't real fans. I'm not going to go that far because I hate it. I hate it when people say you're only a real fan if you do this, or you're only a real fan if you feel this way. I hate to go that way because I know I don't want people to tell me I'm not a real fan because I don't see something a certain way. So I'm not going to go that far. because everybody has different perspective, and that's one thing that I really try to do is like even people that hate the sequel trilogy or people that just certain aspects of like they hate Jar Jar, they hate the Phantom Menace, or they hate the prequels. I still try and give them the benefit of the doubt and hear them out, like because I mean that way. I mean because I would want them to hear me out on why I do like it. So I'm not gonna go that far, but it is frustrating when like certain Star Wars fans are very, very difficult to please. It's always been that way. I mean, people didn't. There was a certain group that didn't like the prequels when they came out because they grew up with the originals, and now there's certain people that hated the sequels because they grew up with the prequels, and just there's different things. And I'm a big Game of Thrones guy, and obviously people hated the last season. A lot of them did. A lot of people hated the last couple of seasons. I loved the last couple of seasons. In fact, they were my favorites. And people would probably say I'm not a Game of Thrones fan because of that. But meanwhile, I probably have more Game of Thrones knowledge than who told me that. So I don't know. Like it just certain Marvel fans, I'm sure, are that way. DC fans as well. Like there's certain fans of things that are just you cannot satisfy them no matter how hard you try, how good something might appear to be. So it is frustrating when like I'm sitting here just eating up something Star Wars related and then somebody's shitting on it. It just that can be frustrating, but you know, at the end of the day, we're all entitled to our opinions. I loved it. Some hated it. You know, is what it is. But anywho, but now I'm very interested to see what happens with Grogu. You know, like because I did hate that Luke gave him an ultimatum. You know, why couldn't? But and I get it. The whole like you know Jedi aren't supposed to have attachments. So I get it. Now, and this was a thought initially that I had in the back of my head of like which way Grogu could potentially go when Luke did give him that choice of Beskar armor and Mandalorian, Yoda's lightsaber, or the Jedi. So obviously we know from the sequels, episode 7 to be exact, Force Awakens, that Kylo Ren, aka Ben Solo, you know, turns to the dark and he basically destroys the Jedi temple that Luke built and kills all the Jedi. So a part of me, because that has been the question, because a lot, you know, ever since the season 2 finale of Mandalorian, when Luke took Grogu, people were like, all right, well, if he's going to go to this school, like, does that mean that he dies when Kylo Ren, you know, massacred the whole place, or does he get rescued, or what happens? So a part of me felt that if Grogu chose the Beskar armor and the Mandalorian, which he did, that would be their way of saying, all right, he wasn't there when obviously Kylo Ren destroyed the Jedi Temple and killed everybody. So Grogu didn't die then. But it also feels like, why would you show that? I thought I was going to sneeze. Why would you show us that Yoda's lightsaber has been around all these years, only to just give us that little tease, and that was it? So a part of me feels that Grogu is not done with the Jedi just yet. We'll see. I mean, a lot of people wanted to see if he could like potentially do both, like almost be like a Mandalorian. I forget. I think the creator of the Darksaber, I forget his name. He was kind of like a Mandalorian Jedi, I believe. I think the first one ever like admitted to the Jedi Temple or something like that. So a lot of people thought like, is there a way like he could do both, or like will he do both? So a part of me feels Grogu's not done with the Jedi just yet. It's more of a we'll catch you later type deal. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Got some comments. A lot of comments. So to this point, and we'll wrap up here in just a minute. So I have a lot of catching up to do on the new Marvel phases. obviously I've seen like the main parts enough to know what happens in the Avengers, like in like Infinity War and Endgame and all that. I have not watched all like the meat of it though. Like I need to go back and watch all the movies. So I'm starting from like Iron. I'll even go this far because I'm a Spider-Man fan, and then followed closely behind. I'm an Iron Man fan. Those are my two favorites from Marvel. Loved the new Spider-Man movie, by the way. Loved it. So what I'm doing is, because I'm a Spider-Man fan first and foremost, I just started with Tobey Maguire's first three to kind of start my little Marvel marathon, and then I'm going straight from that to the first Iron Man movie, and then I'm going to go all the way through the new Marvel stuff. Because obviously I'm a Star Wars guy first and foremost. So to that point, I have not seen Black Widow, but Dylan Barton feels that it's the best Marvel movie of all time. I have not seen the Immortals. I need to see that. But I loved the new Spider-Man movie. It was so good. And then he asks, is the Darksaber mentioned? Yes. So the Darksaber is mentioned in a lot of Star Wars lore. It's quite a lot, actually. I'm actually not completely caught up with how much, but obviously we see it. We see it in the Clone Wars. We see it in Star Wars Rebels, the animated series, obviously. Obviously, we got it in The Mandalorian as well, but it's also been in a lot of the Star Wars comics. Like, there's a lot of lore behind the Darksaber. There's a lot of things we may not know about the Darksaber, but there's a lot we do know. Me personally, I need to get educated on the Darksaber. I just, I got a lot to learn and get caught up on about it, but I do believe that. So I think. So that guy, I don't know if you saw the Book of Boba Fett, but one of the episode where we first got to see Mandalorian again, that Mandalorian that he fought for the Darksaber, I'm pretty sure that it was his ancestor that first created the Darksaber, so that's why he was like, I want to bring this back to my house. Obviously, he didn't win it back. But I'm pretty sure, and again, I forget the guy's name, but I think the guy who built the Darksaber and created it was a Mandalorian Jedi. So at least that's what I had heard. So I've got a lot of catching up and learning to do on that. And I tell you what I really want. I want the collectible. So obviously you can see here, I'm a big collectible guy. I'd like to get the Darksaber. I think that might be the next little collectible I get. And I want the Mandalorian helmet, but that's neither here nor there. So, yeah. That's kind of where I'm at on the Boba Fett finale. And I think I'm going to close with that. I think. Yeah. Hang on, let me see. Did I have something else I wanted to get into here? I feel like I did. Oh, so I'll leave you with this. So I thought it was super funny. So I talked about this on one of my past episodes, like last week, about how before the Chiefs and the Bengals played, a lot of people were asking, how these debate shows are, they always pose a question, is Joe Burrow like even in the conversation as good or like as good yet as Patrick Mahomes? And a lot of people said, obviously this was before the Bengals beat the Chiefs. A lot of people were like, no shot. Even as good as Joe Burrow had showed that he is to that point in this run that they were on, people were like, there were certain people that are like, no shot is even in the same realm as Patrick Mahomes. And my answer to that question is it's too early to say that because Patrick Mahomes has played 4 years, or he's been in the league 5 years, started 4 of them, Joe Burrow's been in the league 2 years and started one full. So it is way too soon to be like, oh, is Joe Burrow as good as Patrick Mahomes? Now, with that said, it's not a ridiculous question, though. It is too early to put that stake in the ground, although it's getting a little more difficult not to put that stake in the ground because of where he's at. However, even though I do believe it is a little too early to have that discussion just because Mahomes is 3 years ahead of Joe Burrow, if you look at where Joe Burrow is in his career compared to where Patrick Mahomes was in his career at year 2, because neither one of them, Patrick Mahomes only started one game in his first year and then sat behind Alex Smith, then started a full year in season 2, lost to the Patriots in the AFC title game. Tom Brady. So, rightfully so. Joe Burrow started, I forget when he got hurt last year in his first season, but he didn't, obviously because of that, didn't start the whole season. So, if anything, and actually, I didn't even say this. Here's another angle to it. Patrick Mahomes just sat. He didn't get hurt or anything. Patrick Mahomes Joe Burrow had a very, very bad knee injury. He got a setback in his first year and then came back in year 2, beat Patrick Mahomes, and is now going to a Super Bowl and made them win it. So while I do think, because this could be lightning in a bottle, I don't think it is, because I just don't feel that way. But let's just pretend it is lightning in a bottle and Joe Burrow does have a good career, but he's not as good as Patrick Mahomes. Or this isn't even the tip of the iceberg yet, and he's going to be even better than Patrick Mahomes. So either way you go, it's too early. But if you look at where Patrick Mahomes was in year 2 in his career compared to where Joe Burrow is in year 2 of his career, Joe Burrow has done more than Patrick Mahomes did. I get it. Mahomes had to go through Brady that second year and lost. Well, Joe Burrow had to go through Mahomes his second year and won. So it ain't out of the question. And now, of course, all you're seeing is the Joe Burrow, Tom Brady comparisons, because Joe Burrow is clearly, to that point, Joe Burrow isn't only better than Patrick Mahomes was at this point in his career. He's better than Tom Brady was at this point in his career. So now all the Brady-Burrow comparisons. And if he wins the Super Bowl, there's going to be a ridiculous amount for the next decade of Joe Burrow, Tom Brady comparisons. But that is a conversation for another day. So that is our show for today. Dylan Barton, appreciate you coming in as always. Glad to get you in here. Excited to have you in some more episodes. That is going to do it for today. My name is Will Dalton, a.k.a. Wilbur and Gold, and we'll catch you right here next time.